Alright, this video is going to be going over section 3.4. Now we are going to be doing this in class, but if for some reason you missed class, this will give you an opportunity to see what we just did in class. I like to do this in class rather than have you watch the video because we're just going to be going through a couple problems. So we're going to talk about how to write equations of lines, and everything is going to start with our slope-intercept form. So hopefully you remember from Algebra 1, y equals mx plus b, where m is referring to your slope and b is your y-intercept. And so we're going to go ahead and be writing some equations of lines today using slope-intercept form. So if you had to write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form that has a slope of 7 and a y-intercept of -5, you should be able to plug in those two things. So y equals mx plus b, your slope being 7, so we can plug 7 in for m, and your y-intercept is -5, so we can plug that in for b, and we end up with y is equal to 7x minus 5, and there's our equation of our line. Well, what happens if we want to find the equation of a line that has a slope of -3, but then it tells you that it goes through a point, and it tells you not necessarily what the y-intercept is? A lot of times people like to go ahead and say, oh, the equation is y equals -3x plus 2. Well, the 3x is correct, but not the 2. This coordinate that they give you here is not the y-intercept. It is somewhere in the first quadrant over 7 and up 2. There's the point. This point right here is not on your y-axis at all. So we have to be a little careful and think about how we're going to do this. So I like to think of it as these 3 steps. First of all, you are going to substitute your slope in for m. And then you're going to take the point that they give you, and you're going to take the y-coordinate, plug that in for y. You're going to put the x-coordinate in for x. And what that does there is it leaves you with one variable remaining, and that's your value of b. So you can then solve the equation for b, and then we can you'll find out what your y-intercept is. Plug in the slope, plug in your y-intercept, and now you have your equation of y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to go ahead and do this same problem here and do this method. Get rid of all that. All right, so we have your slope is -3. We're going to plug in 7 for x. We're going to plug in 2 for y. So this gives me 2 is equal to -3 times 7 plus b. Y equals mx plus b. So 2 is equal to -21 plus b. Adding 21 to both sides, I end up with 23 is equal to b. This right here is telling you what your y-intercept is. You now have your slope, you have your y-intercept, and now we have our equation. Y is equal to -3x plus 23. And there's our equation of our line. So that's if you have the slope and one point. Well, now what happens if you are trying to find the equation of a line that passes through 2 points? Well, they don't tell us what the slope is. So one of our first things that we're going to do is we're going to find our slope. We need to go ahead and we need to do that right away. So to find our slope formula, -3, subtract 2, and divide that by 5 and subtract 6. -3 minus 2 is -5. 5 minus 6 is -1. And here I end up with +5 for our slope. So now we know what our slope is. We still do not know what our y-intercept is. Both coordinates that they give us here are not the y-intercept. So we need to go ahead and find that. We're going to do the same thing that we just did before. I just added in one extra step here because we have to find the slope first. So if you're given 2 points, you have to find the slope first because it's not given to you. Once you do that, then you can substitute in your slope and then you're going to pick just one of the 2 points that you have. You just need one of them, and then you're going to use the x and the y value from that point to allow you to find the y-intercept, and then you can rewrite the equation. So it doesn't matter which point you pick. Now that I have my slope, so m is equal to 5, I'm going to go ahead and just pick the first one here. So that means x is going to equal 6 and y is going to equal 2. So we plug everything in, y equals, so 2 is equal to m5 times 6 plus b. 2 is equal to 30 plus b, and I can subtract 30 from both sides. And I end up with negative 28 for our value of b. So now you have your slope, you have your y-intercept, and now we have our equation. Y is equal to 5x minus 28. And so there's the equation of a line going through 2 points. So this all should be reviewed from Algebra 1, because I know we spent a lot of time doing this. So we'll get more practice with it now, and then you'll get more practice with it in Algebra 2 as well. So now we're going to twist things up a little bit and add in those parallel and perpendicular lines with it as well. So here it says write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through the point of 8, negative 2, and is parallel to the line of y equals 3/4 x plus 3. What this is doing here is it's saying that you're trying to come up with a new equation. This is not what the answer is. Okay, they want us to do something with this. They're telling us that we want a line to go through this point and parallel to this line. Well, if it's going to be parallel, that means one thing. It means that it has to have the same slope. So our new equation also has to have the slope of 3/4 if it's going to be parallel. Since we're going through the point of 8, negative 2, x is going to be 8, y is going to equal negative 2. And now we can have all the information that we need to come up with our equation. So negative 2 is equal to 3/4 times 8 plus b. This is just coming up with our equation that's going to go through a different y-intercept. It's not going to go through 3. It's going to go through a different y-intercept, and it'll be parallel because it has the same slope. So if we take 3/4 times 8, that ends up giving us 6. And then I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And negative 8 is equal to b. So with our slope and our y-intercept, now our equation, y is equal to 3/4 x minus 8. And there we are. Now if they switch this up on us and say, oh, we don't want the line that's parallel, we want the line that's perpendicular this time. So we want to write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through the point of 12, negative 3, and this time is perpendicular to the line of y equals 3/4 x plus 3. Parallel, they have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals of each other. So our slope is not going to be 3/4, it's going to be negative 4/3. We're going to go through the point of 12, negative 3, so x equals 12, y equals negative 3. And we can go ahead now and solve and find our y-intercept. Negative 3 is equal to negative 4/3 times 12 plus b. Negative 4/3 times 12 is going to give me negative 16. And I'm going to now add 16 to both sides. And we end up with 13 equals b. And now we have our slope and our y-intercept, and now we have our equation. Y is equal to negative 4/3 times x plus 13. So there we are. If you have any questions on any of these, let me know, and see you tomorrow.